morning, Tatiana, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to us having a chat. This is episode 5 of Off the Rails, which for anybody listening is a podcast that I started a couple of months ago to give people a bit of a window into the fashion industry. So I'm speaking to yourself today, a solo entrepreneur, female founder of your own business. And hopefully today we'll get some people engaged with what it's like to have your own business. And especially with you, I think what's interesting is the niche that you're in. So let's talk about that a little bit. What I'd love to know is introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are. And also kind of what got you into this industry. And I think that's super interesting.
Hello, good morning, Claire. Thank you for being here. I hope that my story can inspire someone to get in this journey of being a solopreneur. So first of all, my name is Tatiana, as Claire said. I'm a Portuguese entrepreneur, but I was born actually in South Africa. My parents, they met each other in the university when they were student engineering in Porto, and then they decided to go to South Africa to work because they had their family and friends there. And then I returned to Portugal only when I was 3 years old. And then I came directly to Lisbon. But then when I was 6 years old, I was already in Porto. So since then, I lived all my life basically in Porto, where I'm based today, and where I also work and started my business. How did I start in this industry? Basically, like my background, it's economics. But while I was doing my bachelor, I always felt that I have some creativity to explore inside me, because before I decide my course, I love to design, to create. And then I decided to go on a short course in the summer to London, and I did a fashion design course in St. Martin's, just to
so you didn't, sorry to interrupt you, but you didn't just do any course, you did a course at St. Martin's. Wow, that is impressive. Super cool.
Yes, and it was nice to go there and understand that most of my colleagues, they were from the arts background, and I was the only one from economics. And then I felt that that was a challenge when you create a brand, because normally when people create a brand related to fashion or to something creative, normally the background of the owner, it's like design, and mine was like more strategic one, management, numbers. So I felt that I need the other slice of the business, like that part that was just creativity, and I didn't have like the technique learned in school. So I went there, and then I started thinking that in the future I would build something related to that. But then I decided to finish my economics bachelor, and then I did a master in design management, that it was focused on branding, on the retail, on the storytelling of brands. That it's also something that I always loved to. And then that's when I started, when I was doing my master, working in a big fashion retail group, an Italian one. And that's when I start like my career in the retail and in the fashion sector, basically.
Wow. So yeah, what I really like, and I know you and I met for the first time about a month ago. Short bit of an intro is, yeah, we met through a mutual friend, actually, of my husband and your friend that we met in Berlin. So it kind of, our paths crossed from Berlin to Porto. And when you and I first met, yeah, we had a really nice talk. And I think one thing that I loved, and hence why we're here today, that kind of stuck with me, was I meet so many people that go in the opposite direction of you. You know, you start with the design, you go into business, and there's so many challenges you you're faced with, because you don't have that business head necessarily. Yes, it's something that you can learn, and like we're finding out today, there's skill sets that you pick up along the way. However, you started from a different direction, and I think some of those tools are actually a brilliant foundation, because going into a business is so much more than just producing the product. You know, understanding, can you be profitable, how to angle a business, all those things are so important. So you having that foundation, and then your desire of design has kind of molded where you are today, which, yeah, I love that side of it, because like I say, often I'm surrounded by people that come in from a different angle.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's super interesting. So that's where you came in, and your journey sort of to that point of what you studied, taking on, and I think listening to your passion, which is nice as well. A lot of people kind of, put that under a lock and key. You know what, I'm doing this degree, I should stick with it. It's, what I've signed up for. Let me just do this. But you took that passion and that desire, and you're like, no, I'm gonna listen to what's in my gut and go and explore this side of what I want with regards to the design. And you went and did it, and you still went back and finished and completed. So that's really inspiring. And again, for anybody that's listening, what I always like to kind of get through on these podcasts is, you're not just this one trek. You don't have to just stick to one road. We can adapt our skills, and I think that's what's beautiful,
Completely. And actually, I think it's important to add to that point. It's the fact that during this journey and during the last year, since I started Emblazer, I've been crossing my path with many entrepreneurs, with many people from many fields, and it's amazing how, and impressive how people are starting to challenge their journey and taking the courage to change, because I think there is, of course, it depends on your culture and your education, but normally we are shaped to just like be like respectful for what we studied for so many years, so we should be there until the end of our days. And what I found out was, since I become an entrepreneur, it's that there are many people that are starting to hear themselves more and trying to explore and not limit themselves to what they studied. And because we are more than just one, like, I don't know, a bachelor, a master, or even if you didn't take anything. But what I'm trying to say, it's like knowledge doesn't occupy space. It's always like something that we should welcome, but it's not something that should limit our journey. And I think for that you need, of course, to take this courage to go there and take the risk. But I think it was important for me to introduce and just explain a little bit of my journey, not in a way to share with to everybody that is listening to us that you should do this to then launch your brand, but just to explain that you can start in this way and then end up to what I'm doing, and perhaps let's see what it's coming to the future. It's not that Emblazer, it's the finish of my goals in this journey, of course.
No, and I think that's lovely. And I think one thing, and why we're kind of staying on this topic a little bit longer, is I recently worked with some students, and I forget how, and this might sound a bit silly, but how young you are at 19. Like, we were all there. But the fear and the anxiety that the students go through, and I had lots of them say to me, oh, I'm halfway through, I don't know if this is right now, but I'm so far gone that I don't want to change the route. Or how can I apply my skills once I actually graduate? What should I do? And the anxiety that's building in these young people is, you can't but kind of feel, oh, let me help you out. Let me talk you through how like you've just said, just because you've studied a certain topic in a certain field doesn't mean you have to completely go down that route. You can transfer your skills, like, you know, what you've just said. You studied economics, so there's the business side. Of course, when you, regardless of what you're selling, what your product is, we're here talking about the fashion industry. You can apply those skills into that industry. So a lot of today and what I want to get across is that, yeah, we have a journey, but it's not a straight road, and we're allowed to take lots of twists and turns along the way, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You know, and
Completely.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think what it waits to conclude this topic, it's like, of course, people, we have to think about, like, we need the money and we need the time, and that's something that we also should, of course, consider as a way of, like, being conscious of our decision. It's not that I'm telling you, just change because you feel like it. Of course, you have to be conscious and measure at least the short term risk. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm trying to say, it's not because that you have to wait a little bit more to then change your career that you should avoid changing, you know. And I think it's said, like, the fear of what could happen sometimes limits, like, the limit and do and take people to inaction, so they don't take action and they get stuck. So I think it's important to just share that even if you're changing, like, your journey from a completely different master or bachelor to another one, because even if mine was very balanced and complementary, I think it's important that you take the courage, but and don't, like, you can delay it, but don't decline it. I think that's the main thing to conclude.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice kind of finisher on that. Is, yeah, exactly that. Don't delay it. Brilliant way of putting it. So moving on from that a little bit, and let's step change. I think I'd love to know, as we say, we've kind of come along with you on your journey so far of what you studied, what kind of led you to where you are today. So who and what inspires you with your brand? Tell us about that.
Yes, so I think it's the base is related to what I am, and since I remember myself when I was young, I always been committed to many different projects besides schools, with volunteering projects, and also to always took leadership roles in my class. I always had this feeling that I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. So I always felt in the future that I wanted to create something by my own and perhaps create some legacy, because I always felt that I had this passion and this will and this drive of life, of giving life to dead things, to things that apparently were unuseful, and then they turn them something useful. So right now, what inspires me a lot in my brand, it's the fact that I try to give it a circular approach. So I try to, as we as we can explore in the future of this conversation, but I actually take the dead stock fabrics to create and to give life to a new shape and turning out in blazers. That is my core business. And this idea of giving life to something that it's dead, something that really triggers me. And who inspires me a lot, it's like my references in my role models, in this case my parents and my sister. I always had, like, a very close family, and we always had this way of being united and close to each other, but and to make us strong and to feel that we can be whatever we want in the future. And that confidence that I gained with my core family made me believe that I can actually work to achieve whatever I want in my life. So it's something that is always inspires me. I don't know if you want me to get in detail.
I think that's brilliant. I think, like, when you say that's the core of your business, I think that's also the core of who you are. I think from the very little that I know about you, but enough to know and get a feeling for what inspires you, what keeps your drive. I think we all reference back to something that really keeps us going. And I think the fact that you have such a passion, that your family has brought you to where you are, not only for obvious reasons, but also from the inspiration of being strong, being able to get there, believing in what you can do and actually achieving it. And I think sometimes we have, I call it like a wobbly day, where you're like, oh God, what am I doing? Because we all have them. Everybody has them, whether we admit them or not. Like that's the way we are. We're built, we're human. I think then when you have that core of a reason, okay, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I've come in. This is the path I've chosen. I think always having that reference of what really inspires you just gives you that, okay, I'm here again. I'm present. I can keep fighting through all of those obstacles that we get. So yeah, I love that. I think having that inspiration of family is, it's second to none. I think that really is a lovely foundation to have.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell me, so yeah, you've spoken about kind of the core of your business as well as the core of your inspiration. So it is around blazers, and today, of course, you're wearing one of your very own designs.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So why blazers? It is such a unique area, and it's very power dress, and it means a lot to me. But what does it mean to you, and why did you kind of want to portray that?
Of course. So it's everything. It's connected, and it's really connected to my story. So it's something I really wanted to create something as a statement, and that could focus in something that I felt that was always also missing in the market, but at the same time that I felt an emotional connection to the piece of clothing, because I didn't want to just be a fashion brand, but a blazers brand. And the fact that it's a blazer, it's not something random. It has a really strong reason linked to what I told you before, because since the fact that my parents, they were both engineerings, and my mother, actually, she was a civil engineer, and my father an electronic one. And I always grew with these two role models that they always went to work dressed in the same way, with both of them with blazers, and even my mother used to use like ties. So for me, competence was never about the gender, so I always felt that the presence of my female and male role model, his parents, were always super balanced in my education, and in the way that I see the world and my future as a woman. But then when I start like engaging in many groups in school, then I start working, and I start to understand and to figure out that these ideal world that I had in my family wasn't like the pattern, unfortunately, even if I see it in a positive way, that we are changing a lot, and we are achieving and giving more steps, looking forward to a more balanced and more equal world. But unfortunately, I still feel that there are many things to change in this mindset, in the way that we connect some professions to women and to men. So for me, the blazer was really the reference and the iconic piece that I could connect my parents, and that I could do this statement that any woman can be whatever they want to, so that's why it's something. If you think about it, Claire, when do you use a blazer? It's like in a commitment moment, in a presentation, in a ceremony. So it's something that gives you structure and gives you like that boost of confidence that sometimes we as women are connected to a fragile situation. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way you say that as well is beautiful, because it does make you feel a certain way, have an internal your internal power is shown through. And I think how we dress is ultimately a form of expressing how we feel. I know, anybody that's listening, when you feel a certain way, I'm not feeling good, I want to kind of hide, I want to feel comfortable, I want to feel cozy because I'm feeling a certain way. If I'm feeling good, I want to portray that to other people, I'll dress in a way that makes me feel that way. So I think the fact that you bring that along in your journey, and you're empowering women in this case, and you've had that influence as well from your mum, is beautiful. It's like, okay, that stays in your mind of, okay, this person in my life showed kind of breaking a somewhat of the mold. To you it was the norm, but like you say, when you went out into different scenarios, it was like, this isn't the norm. Actually, it was for me, but for others. So you've almost taken on the role of showing people that it can be the norm. As a woman, you can wear this, and you deserve to feel that empowerment. So I love that side of how you're embracing, women to feel and look a certain way. How you look is how you feel, and vice versa. I think that's, super.
Completely. And attracts, most of all, of course, we are talking about something tangible, and in the end it's just a blazer. But at the same time, if you think about it, like sometimes what you see, it's what you get, literally, you know what I mean? And sometimes you don't need to say something to give already an impression of somebody. So I think it's important to, even besides that visual effect that a blazer can bring, it's also the fact that somehow the person that is wearing it feels stronger, it feels like, okay, I can handle this, you know what I mean? So I think it's that effect that I subconsciously I want to put in my clients' minds. And because that's actually what inspires me, it's to give that boost of confidence to people that wear, and to connect with my story, and to remember that that actually that's something possible. And also I want just to add that even if of course my mission is to spread the woman empowerment, it's also to challenge that, and the mindset that it starts also with the men, because the way that my father empowered my mother was really impressive. So I think it's something that is very important, like girls supporting girls, of course, but also men supporting girls, then looking at them with the same eyes, with the same vision. It's something that also makes a woman feel empowered, so it's something that I wanted also to share, and to all the audience, male audience, that can perhaps hear us and don't feel connected with this. I think they have like a really change maker role in this.
I completely agree with that. I think that is something that is important. Yes, we're proud of being women and fighting through some of the stereotypes that have been around and are still around. And I think what is important is, it's not to bash men, and there is plenty of men out there. And I think it's beautiful when you have, somebody in your life, whether it's a father figure, a partner, a friend, whatever it is, that empowers and supports. And that, I know from my own experience, my mum was worked with my dad, and they worked in the construction industry. So for a woman to work in a very male environment, my dad was like her biggest champion, all the time, kind of pushing her on. She's a very strong woman anyway. She'd take no crap. But equally, she had his backing, and she knew that she could fight through in a very male dominant area. So I think having, like you've just said, to underpin that, having strong males around is a beautiful thing. And not excluding men from this conversation is, know where you can champion and support. I think that's so enlightening and beautiful. So you touched on, the empowerment and how you want your customers to feel. One thing I'd love to know, and I know we've spoken kind of off this call about it, so I know a little bit, but I'd love to know a little bit more and share with everybody listening. So you have your own atelier, which is beautiful. I've
Mm-hmm.
had a look at it. I will come and see at some point, I promise. But tell me about when, a client comes to you. What does that look like when they come for an appointment? Talk me through that experience for your clients.
Of course. So I felt during this journey of Emblazer that my type of products is something that's it's really, it makes a huge difference to be seen personally. So you can touch the fabrics, you can feel the comfort, and then you can see actually the fitting. So for me, since I consider myself more an offline person than an online person, not because only of my all of my professional career, but also because of my way of communicating with people, I really found out it was important to open the space where I work from, where I create from, my atelier, to the customers. So basically, now anyone can book a visit to the atelier through the Instagram account of Emblazer that I contact directly. And actually, it's a place where people can try all the different fittings that I have in the different colors and fabrics. But I can also show them the original fabrics that I still have as leftovers, and people can create with me their dreamy blazers. So in fact, imagine that you come here, that already even last week I had a client, for example, that bought me a vest, because I also, even if my core business are blazer, I also have some vests as a models, like blazer without the sleeves. And basically she loved, for example, a specific shape, but she wanted in a color that I didn't have. So I also show her what I have available, but then I contact directly with my supplier to check if they have leftovers according to this color that my customer was demanding. And then I order the sample, and then we test it, and if she like it, I do it a tailor-made blazer just for her. So it's something that in this journey of the atelier, you can contact directly, not only with me, the creator, but also with the fittings and the fabrics that are already available.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. And the fact that you have that personable approach, I think when you're looking for something that's fit to form and you want that experience, being able to give that to a customer in a world where we're coming further and further away from that, it's beautiful that you can kind of snap back and go, let's be personable. Let me completely, dress you, as it were, and that one-on-one, very kind of considered approach is like second to none. So I think that's lovely. Talk me through, again, kind of concentrating and staying a little moment on the fit. I've seen that you have kind of three main fits, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with the blazers you have on your website and on your Instagram, three main fits that you kind of go back to. Could you talk me through those so that anybody listening again kind of knows a little bit more about the fit and form of what you do?
Of course. So connected again with my story. So I decided to create my first three main fittings connected to my female role models. And when starting with me, why me? It seems like a super selfish fitting, but it's actually I decided to create this one because first, I'm the one that is creating, so I wanted to create something that I would actually design it just for me. But besides and above all, it's like I really wanted to create a shape that I remember, like the self-love, the self-esteem, and the first person that you should be inspired in first place it with yourself, because when you're not happy with ourselves, I don't feel that we have the right direction and energy to take the day, so to embrace the day actually. So I think it's really important that you have a fitting that it's like a wake-up call to to your self-love and to like who you are and feel confident also by your own. And I think that's why I also decided that. So the first female role model that I want to be, it's me to and then this shape, it's a little bit more slim fit, and it's something that it's a shape that you have like a belt that you can remove or not. So it's something very versatile, and with this kind of slim fit shape, as I told you. Then we have the cis fit. Feet that is inspired on my sister. She's older than me, and she's this feet. It's more. It's a little bit more oversized than mine, but it's still with a little bit of shape. And basically, I also connect this one inspired on my sister, and with the value that I connect with her, that it's independence, because she always taught me to try to figure out everything by my own and not be dependent in anybody. So it's something that I also take as a value to my life, inspired by my sister. And last but not least, I have the mom fit that is inspired by my mother. And for me, it's like a really role model. What becomes to what we can relate with resilience, because my mother was really a fighter in her professional and personal life, and for me, she's like the statement or the base of everything of this trigger in terms of connecting with the launch of Emblazer. Okay, so it's more a shape that is oversized and more a shape that is more connected to a male shape. Okay, and naturally, I think many men would use that shape for sure.
Again, like everything you say has such meaning, which is why we're here today. Like, I was attracted to your story. I was attracted to you as a person because you have such a beautiful foundation to everything you do. There's so many people you meet along the way that it's like, okay, why did you come into this industry? Why did you do that? Because I just like that. Oh, I thought there was like a plug, a hole to plug, or there was a niche in the market, and I just wanted to kind of fly by and do it. And let's be honest, make a quick buck and go out. And there's loads of people in this industry that do that. But when you find people with a really strong ambition to make a difference and to understand that they have a beautiful story behind why they want to do that as well. So the people around you that inspired you from day dot, the fact that you want to be involved in circular fashion, that part of it is beautiful. The fact that you want consumers to feel special, unique,
Powerful.
step by step is like so thought through. And I think we're missing a lot of that nowadays. It's just make, sell, and it's horrible. So when you can stop, take kind of a stock and a beat to really understand why we're here, and like you said at the top, I wanted to make a difference. What can I do to have a little bit of legacy and really, have that around? And I think that's beautiful. And the fact that, as somebody that's very close to the family as well, having that daily reminder of the things that inspire you, like I said before, when we have those wobbly days, going back to, okay, that's the reason, I'm back on track, I think is beautiful. Really, really inspiring.
The why
Exactly.
the why is always stronger. Yes.
Exactly. And I think, anybody that's listening, there's certain things that will resonate with them and be like, God, yeah, I didn't think of it in that way. Or I have these inspirations, I have this desire, but I didn't know, you've got the why, but some people don't know the how. So hopefully today that's kind of, brought some of that to the forefront as well. So talking about all the things that inspire, the good things, the things that keep you going, I also want to talk about, and probably one of the things we'll finish on and close with today, is we have them bad days, those days where you just like, oh, save me from this. I want to kind of, where's the off button?
Hmm.
But that's harder when it's you and you're in charge of your own business. You can't just do that. You've got to show up constantly. So talk me through a little bit around, what do those days look like that, maybe you're not feeling as inspired, or, what do you least enjoy about your role? Talk me through that. How does that look for you?
Uh, Actually, I think I can link perfectly that question with what you said before. It's the fact that I'm promoting here also like the circularity, but a slow fashion itself, because I use the leftovers and the dead stock fabrics to create the blazers. And the fact that this slow fashion, this word of slow, it's what I want to pick up to answer to your question, because when we're talking about slow fashion, we are talking about like more quality, less quantity. We are talking about details. We are talking about a lot of time and energy spent in many things that you cannot get from a mass market and a big brand. I want to create something personal, with quality, with familiar, and with people that they feel that is authentic, and it's unique. And to create this uniqueness and to make to stay loyal to your standards when you start this journey as a solopreneur, you have to be really tough. And that's why sometimes those days appear, as you said, because what I feel that for me it's more challenging as a person, as an entrepreneur, and considering my previous experience, because I was like in a really controlling and leadership role, because I'm almost 10 years of retail, imagine. And before, I was working in a big retail group, so the effort and hours that I spent working, like the rhythm of the results, were almost like at the same time as my effort. And here, since I'm working by my own, uh, everything takes more time, more energy, and that's why sometimes we have our breakdowns, because we need people. And actually, I need people to flourish my productivity and to share my energy, because I have a lot, as you can see. So for me, I think the challenging days are when I feel that the things are still slowly happening according to my ambition and the effort that I put on. And sometimes in those days, it's not that I feel that I want to give up the idea of the business, not at all. But I sometimes I give up on my confidence to achieve that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you feel that it seems that everything that you're doing, it's not enough. And that feeling of like, even if you, as I told the other day, I can be a superwoman, but I'm still a human. You know what I mean? So it's something that it's important to understand that even if I'm doing my best, sometimes you have to redefine your priorities, your tasks, and to understand that you're just one. And of course, there is limitations according to that. And if you're not going to achieve what you want right now, at least you are conscious and that you're working to something that will appear perhaps in the medium and long term. So basically, to conclude, I just want to tell that, of course, everybody has bad days, but as an entrepreneur, I think it's more challenging to keep up the road when you're feeling more in a solo journey. That in the end, it's not solo, because you have family, friends, or people to talk to. But I think what is the final, I don't know, suggestion that I would give to somebody that is considering to start this journey, it's to understand that actually we are not alone, and to always keep focus in your why. And when you're struggling, not being afraid to show that you are, and don't pretend that everything is okay, and go and talk with people that already passed through this journey, so you can keep motivating yourself, and then things will naturally stand up again. So I think that's what I can share. uh,
Yeah, I think that's an ultimately sound piece of advice. I've spoken to many people, through these podcasts, especially, that have brought up very similar topics. And I think even for me, you talking about that, it's how I felt, at some point along my journey as well, is, oh, I'm alone, I'm doing it by myself. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ultimately doing certain parts of it by myself. However, you've got to remember about the community around you, family, friends, and just having, a coffee with somebody and talking through, I've had a bit of a bad day, what do you think about this? And a little bit like what you've just said as well, realigning, setting your own boundaries and being patient with yourself. I think sometimes, and I can only speak for myself, but I put so much pressure on myself of, okay, I need to do this by this and by this. And then sometimes I just sit and go, but says who? Remember that I can control all of this, which is a very fortunate position to be in. However, don't put too much pressure on yourself and just realign, set those boundaries and be patient. I think those are the most important kind of reminders that, need to come up over and over again. And I think what you've said is completely valid, is you're not alone, regardless if we kind of use this title of a solopreneur. We're not totally alone. We have our own community, whatever that looks like. We have that. So use it. I think that's a really great piece of advice that, like you say, anybody looking to take on this journey should really remind themselves of, is exactly that.
Yes.
So I think that's a perfect way to end this conversation, is, feeling empowered, knowing and recognizing that all of those things and all of those good days are ahead of anybody that wants to make this journey. And I think yours especially is a beautiful story. I love following you and seeing, all of the amazing things that you're doing. Most recently seen an amazing post in Seoul, where you've got people wearing your designs, which is just amazing, that the reach that you're able to have, like very inspirational. Thank you for joining me today. And I will, of course, anybody that's listening, point you in the direction of course, your website and your Instagram, to make sure that we can relate back exactly what we've talked about today. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Claire. Okay. And
thanks so much, everyone, for listening as well. Thank you.